Yes, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Philosophy Podcast. My name is Abdi, and today this is the Overreaction Squad. We're reacting to the opening weekend of the Premier League. Obviously, there's so much to talk about, but today we have a special guest with us, and to introduce him, I've got, yours truly best. Come on, Trey, introduce our guest, yeah?
Yes, you know what? Just wanted to say everyone that hopefully enjoyed the show. But yeah, we've got a special guest here, George Carr. He's actually the founder of Signature Sports Marketing. 22 years old. For me, this boy is an inspiration and a very ambitious young man who has a bright future ahead of him. So, George, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me, man. It's a pleasure. Thanks for your kind words too. I appreciate that.
No worries, brother. No worries. I shouldn't be too kind because, in fact, you're a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, as you can see, I've got a bit of a giveaway here. But yeah, we had a little banter before we came on, didn't we? So
I know. You know what, Abdi? I'm not gonna lie. He's gonna have to share this banter, man. This is actually the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. What was it about?
I think you need to explain it, George.
Is it about Anthony Martial?
it was about Anthony Martial. All I said was that I might be late because my laptop's as reliable as Anthony Martial at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So it was just
my days.
it was just a little dig, but he laughed it off. I thought he'd take the bait. To be honest, I wanted a little nibble, but he laughed it off. So fair play to him.
George, one thing that I know about Trey is he's a massive fan of Anthony Martial. I'm a United fan, and I'm not a massive fan of Anthony Martial. I've given up on him about 2-3 seasons ago because I don't think as consistent as I want him to be. He's just not on it. But anyways, that's a conversation between me and my therapist because I can talk about Anthony Martial all day long, man, because he frustrates the living hell out of me, man. But yeah, guys, let's get started on this, man, because we had the Premier League coming back. It was amazing, guys, to have the fans back. The way the referees were using the VAR also was excellent. I just, the referees, they let a lot of things go. They let the game flow as well. Obviously, the United Leeds game was fantastic to watch, but also we had the opening day or the first match of the season, which was against Arsenal against Brentford. Arsenal losing in Hanslow of all places, that was a real shocker, to be honest with you. But the way Brentford really set up, because that's what I want to get into first. I know the champions City have lost. We're gonna get into that. United won, Liverpool won, Leicester won, Chelsea have also won. Pretty much everybody won apart from Arsenal. Let's get into that and talk about that, Trey. Because Brentford, the way they were ready for this game, they were back into the Premier League for the first time in so many years. The fans are back into the stadiums. They were ready for it, but Arsenal were just not ready for it. Why? What's going on over there?
If I'm honest with you, it's clear to see that Brentford, one thing we have to say, we've got to give them credit. It's the first time they're in the Premier League in such a long time. The way they tackled that game, you could tell that they wanted it more than Arsenal. And with certain games, you could just tell that because this team wanted it more than Arsenal, they were going to sneak a result. They were going to get a win. And I just felt that they were just better in every sort of department. Defensively, going forward,
Yes.
controlling the play in midfield as well. Ivan Toney, even though he didn't score a goal, he was very effective as a striker. So for me, he did all the work without scoring the goal. So for me, you got to give Brentford credit for the way they tackled that game and got a result and to get their first W in how many years?
Yes, exactly. I mean, a lot of people are talking about Ben White's performance and how he couldn't handle someone like Ivan Toney. How is he going to handle Romelu Lukaku on the weekend? But I don't want to get into Ben White right now. But if we talk about, for example, a team like Brentford, who have used all the experience and the know-how of how to be a team like us, we've seen a throwback to the days of Dilap from Stoke City with the long throw-in. That was just amazing to see. Like, you know your strengths, you know the weaknesses of the team that you're coming up, and you play against that, and this is what happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, mate. To be totally honest, I wasn't really impressed with Ben White. If I was an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't be happy at paying £50 million for him based on that performance. I can't say he's a player I've seen much of, to be totally honest with you. But when you look at United, have got Varane for 40, we've got Konate for 35. I think questions have got to be asked of Arsenal's recruitment, perhaps. I don't want to judge Ben White too harshly, and the last thing I want to do is come on here and start criticising players because I'm certainly no better. But it was really cheap. He just couldn't handle Ivan Toney, who hasn't got any Premier League experience. He's a bit of a dark horse, I think, considering how good he was last season. But still, I just don't think it's really good enough from Arsenal. It was a cheap goal from a long throw in. But yeah, there you go. That's sort of sums up Arsenal's last few years, I think, really.
I mean, what is the target for them this season? I mean, if the start of the season is like this, because we look at the next couple of games, they got City, they got Chelsea. If they don't get any wins, and let's say 7, 8, matches into the season, we can see a scenario where Arteta could be gone, right, Trey? Because this is just not going to work for them. I mean, the amount of money that they spent is more than United, more than City, more than Chelsea so far this summer. And the recruitment, it doesn't look like, I mean, if, for example, Ramsdale, they signed Ramsdale right now for today for what, 24, 25 million? And they let someone like Emiliano Martinez go to Aston Villa, who for me was the best goalkeeper last season, for absolutely like way less than money that they signed Ramsdale now. What is going on in this club, man? Arteta, the recruitment, because we can't say anymore, oh, Arteta wasn't here for this to happen, or he's not to be blamed, but he let Martinez go, and he preferred Ben Leno. Now he's signing someone else for more money than he sold for Martinez. This is not good for him.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy because what's going on with Arsenal now is like there's a bit of panic. I sense like the recruitment and the sort of board team and whoever's dealing with sort of signing these players. I think they're panicking right now because with some of these prices for Ramsdale, for example, for that sort of fee, like come on, with that sort of fee, you could go out there and get better quality players. So I think they're in a bit of a sort of strange situation because they could only sign certain players. They can't really attract players that want Champions League football, for example. Like, for example, they were linked with Martinez from Inter. Now, in my mind, I wouldn't see him going to a club like Arsenal because one, they're not offering Champions League football, and two, you're not really going to have a good opportunity to sort of win anything at the club. So it's a bit of a downgrade. So it's a difficult situation for them. I don't know what your initial thoughts are about that, George.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you on that one. I mean, it looks like they're going to get Odegaard over the line today or in the next few days, but I'm not really sure if that makes a whole lot of sense to be going in for him. I'm not sure where he'll play. It's usually in the number 10 role, I think, but to my knowledge, that's where Smith Rowe plays, and he was the only kind of positive out of that Brentford game, in my opinion. I think giving him a 5-year deal, I think it was a 5-year deal, this summer was probably worth more than a new signing. I think they need, they've reinforced at the back with Ben White, but obviously he didn't show a great deal of promise in that game. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I'm not too sure why they've gone in for Ramsdale for that fee, whether Leno's meant to be going. I've not seen any links of him meant to be leaving, so whether Ramsdale's meant to be a number 2 or they're going to get rotated, I'm not sure. And the funniest thing is I've seen Arsenal fans all summer on Twitter begging the club to sign James Maddison, and I cannot understand for the life of me why James Maddison would want to transfer to Arsenal. It doesn't make any sense. Leicester are at this point a far stronger side. He's just had a child, so he won't want to relocate anyway. It doesn't make sense. If Arsenal, I see Arsenal kind of in a similar position to what Liverpool were probably 5-10 years ago under Hodgson or Dalglish, where our squad was pretty average. There was no real
Andy
direction.
Carroll and Stuart Downing and like
Oh,
Joe
my
Cole being
days.
signed.
That's
Yeah,
mad.
there you go. I mean,
Those were the days.
Those were the days, man.
they gave Willian a contract on something like 200 grand a week when he's just. I don't even think Van Dijk earns at Liverpool. Maybe he does now. He signed a contract a few days ago, but it's like silly money for Willian, who's 32, 33. He was good in his day, but they're not going to make any money on him now as well. So, yeah, it's absolutely baffling. If I was an Arsenal fan, I would not be particularly optimistic. But there you go.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if we're overreacting or not, but I don't see Arsenal having or being any better than they were last season. But now, let's talk a little bit about Tottenham winning against Man City 1-0 in their new stadium for the fourth time. Nothing new there. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 every single time with a counter-attack goal from Son Heung-min and fantastic finish. But the goalkeeper has to do better there. Now, is it too much of an overreaction for us to say, all right, City are not going to win the league if they don't sign a striker, because they can't be doing the same thing that they did last season with midfielders? And also, is it a bit of an overreaction to say Tottenham don't need Harry Kane because they got Son?
Ooh, you know what? I'll go give you a clap for that. That's a very two good questions there. Firstly, I think that look, it's for me. I always say that the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. That was just one game. There's 37 games to go, and I definitely feel that City do need a striker. I feel that they can't go through another season not having a proper number 9. So for me, I think their target for the rest of the window is to get a striker, because if they don't get a striker, then we could expect results like Spurs to happen a little bit more frequently than last year, because teams have figured out that if they don't have a sort of target man, then there's a way we could nullify their attack, which they've been able to do. So in regards to them being out of the sort of not being able to win the title, disagree. Obviously, they're still obviously going to be favourites because they're the champions, of course. But they need a striker. And in terms of Spurs for sort of hanging on to Kane, I think, look, at the end of the day, when you've had a player that wants to go cash in, I think Nuno could do a great job with possibly 120 or 150, depending on how much they get for Kane. And I'm sure he can build another good squad that can replicate what he's done at Wolves.
Yeah. I mean, George, I'm not a gambling man, but if I was to play poker with this, if I'm City, and what I would do is I would take the risk of not signing Harry Kane right now and just wait for Erling Haaland to become available. Because if you look at the funds that they're talking about, the amount of money that's being talked about for Harry Kane is not going to be anywhere. Daniel Levy is going to he's got all the leverage right now. The player signed, he's got a 3-year contract. He's not going to go for anything less than 150 million. What Daniel Levy says at the end of the day is going to go. Now, if City do wait until the summer and they say to Haaland, listen, you can come join us. We'll pay for whatever the amount of money is, maybe 180, maybe 170, and they pay for that. They don't really need to sign Harry Kane right now, do they? Or is it just too much of a risk to do that? Because then he's going to have other suitors. Maybe Real Madrid is going to be in for him. Maybe PSG, maybe Chelsea, maybe even United.
Yeah, I think with the financial firepower City have, they'd probably back themselves to be able to sign Haaland, especially because his dad used to play for City, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, it's one of those where I don't know the ins and outs of the finances at Man City. If I was playing Football Manager in this scenario, I'd probably hold out for Haaland. I think it's 66 his release clause is next summer, which is obviously significantly cheaper. but I'm not sure if they can go another year without a striker. I think Gabriel Jesus is a decent player, but Guardiola seems to prefer Foden or De Bruyne as a false nine rather than starting him anyway. So, yeah, I'm really not sure where City are going to go. But obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'd quite like for them not to sign Harry Kane, because I think this could be the season where they step up a little bit. I just think without an out and out number 9 who will score you at least 20 goals a season, you'll struggle to win a title. You could say Liverpool are an exception there, but I think Klopp's philosophy is built around having a false nine team with the gegenpress, and obviously we had Salah and Mane cutting in inside, where I'm not sure they'll look to execute that as well as perhaps Klopp did in a short sort of passing style of play. Whether that false nine will work, whether they'll want De Bruyne and Foden to drop a bit deeper, to be more creative. I'm not too sure whether they have the off-the-ball intelligence of a player like Firmino to even execute that role for 38 games a season plus Champions League as well. I don't know if those players are good enough. But if I was a City fan, I wouldn't. I don't think they're favourites this season. I think Chelsea are favourites because of the business that they've done. Yeah, I think without a striker, City might struggle, especially like Trey said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I think without a striker, that might add up. I really do.
Now that is actually an interesting segue for the next section, which is obviously let's talk about Liverpool. They've won 3-0, comfortable victory. Mo Salah with 2 assists and a goal as well. You know, continuing that amazing run of scoring every single opening game of the season that he has played for Liverpool, which is just an incredible record. Liverpool now are going to have their main guys coming back. In terms of the expectations, you as a Liverpool fan, do you expect the team to kick off now? You know, forget about what happened last season, and then just basically go again this season. You got Van Dijk now, Konate. Yeah, you lost Wijnaldum, but you know you still have pretty good midfield there. Mane, I don't know if he's 100% back, but finally he had a bit of a break for the first time. Yeah, where's your thinking about this team right now? How do you see them? Or do you see them advancing more later into the Champions League, maybe trying to go for the FA Cups, which is something that Klopp hasn't done yet? Or is he just going to be focusing mainly on the league like he has been doing for the last few years?
I think our squad is largely deep enough to compete on all fronts. I think maybe one more player in the forward line. Obviously, we've got Diogo Jota, but if you really want to rotate for those cup games with a Minamino, Origi, Shaqiri, who will likely leave, I don't think those are a top standard of player where you can. I don't look at those players to come off the bench and change the game, or I don't look at them starting and think they'll be just as good as Salah and they can put a performance in today. With us, I think it's a bit of a question mark because a lot of our best players weren't at their best last year. Mane wasn't really up to scratch. Firmino wasn't really up to scratch. Salah kind of carried us at stages, and obviously we had all those injuries go against it. But yeah, it's that same front three that wasn't really at its best last year, and we've not bolstered it. Diogo Jota was injured last season. Henderson's had a long injury layoff. Thiago hasn't actually played in the position we wanted him to play as of yet, because Fabinho had to shift into defence. So it's a really tough one to predict. I think Konate was an important signing. I'm not sure if it's going to be as important as people think because I don't think he'll start. I think he's going to be a squad player. And obviously, yeah, replacing Wijnaldum. The one thing people don't appreciate of Junior Wijnaldum is the amount of games he played last season while staying fit and putting in top-level performances was pretty unspoken of. I don't think he got enough appreciation. And you look at our reserves in midfield, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita. These are players who have notoriously struggled with fitness. On their day, unplayable. But whether that's, again, it's that you can't fully rely on those players because of their fitness levels. If we don't sign the Wijnaldum replacement, I don't think it's the end of the world because I think Klopp is going to look to blood Curtis Jones. I think he's going to look to blood Harvey Elliott. The players have both shown excellent potential. Whether they play the similar sort of role to Wijnaldum, I don't think they will. I think Henderson might play that role. There's James Milner as well, who's obviously incredibly reliable. So it will be an interesting one. I do think we need at least a central midfielder, or at least another player for our forward line, in my opinion.
Oh, that's actually a good shout. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie. I have to echo your thoughts on Wijnaldum. For me, I think, like you said, he was an engine. He done his job in midfield. He stayed fit. He was strong. He's reliable. He's someone that Klopp can look to and know that when he's on the pitch, he's going to do exactly what he was told to do. So replacing him would be a big challenge for Liverpool. To get like a player, obviously you can't get the exact player, of course, but to get a player who could sort of do the things that he did at the club, it's going to be interesting to see. I heard there's sort of links with Renato Sanchez potentially.
Yeah, Sanchez was injured in training. I think he's up for 6 weeks with a meniscus injury, so he won't be joining Liverpool this summer. We were linked with Saul at Atletico Madrid, but from what I've heard from the most reliable in knows at Liverpool is that his wage demands are too high. We've been linked with every man and his dog this summer, to be completely honest. I feel like Liverpool, the way our recruitment's been the last few years, we've only done a deal if it's the right deal. We've not paid over the odds. We've not accepted cheap transfer bids where our valuation has been met, and that's the reason why Origi stayed at the club. It's the reason why Shaqiri stayed at the club. I feel like Klopp as well, because of his system is so hard to learn. He's one who wants to get his business done early. When you look at the likes of Fabinho, he joined the club and didn't really play for 3 months or so because he had to learn the system. Kostas Tsimikas is a similar situation last season. He played one league game. I think it was 5 minutes in the league. Even Andy Robertson, when he joined 2 or 3 years ago, took him a bit of time to break into the team. He had to learn that system. And signing a player now on 19th of August it is, as we're recording this, it's not long for them to learn the system and come and be that absolute linchpin who you can look to, who will always be fit, who can play 10 games in a row plus internationals. So yeah, I'm really not sure. I think Harvey Elliott is going to come into his own this season. I think he's going to be the breakout star, as you might call it, kind of like how Foden was last year. But again, it's one of those where I just don't think Wijnaldum has been replaced, and I can't see him being replaced by any of those players in that squad. It really, I think it actually hinges on fitness. I think our season hinges on fitness. It will hinge on the fitness of Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita to, when they're called upon, step up and play in the big games. It sounds kind of silly because they're not the most important players in the squad, but the amount of football we're going to play this season after the Euros in the summer and the fixture congestion last season off of the back of the COVID season, which was played throughout the summer, we're going to need to rotate. And we play such an intense style of football. So it's going to be those fringe players, those squad players, have to be just as good and take the opportunity and try and displace those players who are the first names on the team sheet. So yeah, it's absolute make or break for the guys like Chamberlain, Keita, Minamino, Tsimikas, for example. And I think our season perhaps kind of hinges on that.
Yes, that is well put. Now, some people are saying that the most important thing that Liverpool have done this summer was to tie down players like Van Dijk, Salah, sort the contracts out. Even Alisson, right now, signing new contracts. But then you have someone like Jordan Henderson who could walk away for free next summer, just like Wijnaldum did. Where do you stand on that? Like, would you want them to sign someone different, or would you want Jordan Henderson to be still around the club, even if he's still not like a first-team player, like regularly?
Well, the reports from the Athletic in the last few days are saying that we're getting closer to an agreement there, so I don't think Henderson will leave. I think our policy is very clear on players over 30. We don't want to tie them down to 3 or 4 year deals, and that's kind of common sense. With Jordan Henderson, I think he's got so much to offer. I mean, he's kind of like James Milner. He's an absolute engine. He's a consummate professional. Looks after himself. I know his fitness has been not great in the last 6 months, but those are like knock injuries. They're not really his fault. It's kind of just a bit of misfortune. So yeah, I think he can still contribute at a top level for the next.
So in terms of your expectations, yeah, is that the expectation for Liverpool to challenge for the title? Do you see them a favourite to win the Premier League? Obviously, we're going to talk about Chelsea and United as well. We already talked about City, but Liverpool, out of those 4 clubs, where would you rank them?
I think we're second favourite. I don't think United
to Chelsea or to City?
To Chelsea. I think Chelsea are probably the favourites, or they should be on paper. They're champions of Europe. They've strengthened the squad more than anyone else. They've got such a deep squad. It's a little bit unfair. I think City without a striker will struggle. I don't think their squad depth is as good as it once was. And United, I don't think they're good enough. I don't think Sancho was a priority. I think they need a striker. I don't think Cavani would be good enough to get them for 20, 30 goals a season. Although I do think he's a good player. So yeah, I think anything can happen in football. And obviously I'm thinking quite optimistically as a Liverpool fan. I mean, obviously we've got a world-class team. But I think on paper you have to put the pressure on Chelsea because there's no excuse for them not to win the league this season. And if they don't, Tuchel should be sacked. The amount of money he's had to spend.
Okay. Now, Trey, where do you stand on that? Because let's talk about United winning 5-1 against Leeds United. I mean, United playing against Leeds last season at Old Trafford without fans there, won 6-1, very comfortable win. Again, United playing against Leeds, just perfect game. Varane being unveiled before the kickoff, him, saying hi to Rio Ferdinand on the touchline. It was all great. The setup was just fantastic, and everybody was ready for the game. Like, let's just talk about United now in terms of this game. Shall we say, yep, United are ready to challenge for the title, or are they still not good enough, like George is saying? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, George obviously made some good points. I definitely would say, based on Chelsea being the European champions and what they've invested in this summer, because they basically, last year you would say that they didn't really have an out-and-out number 9 striker who could sort of score 20 plus goals. Now they've obviously gone out and signed Lukaku, of course. So for me, you have to consider them as title contenders. In regards to United, I definitely feel, based on what we've done in this window, the sort of progression from when Ollie's come into the club, there's been a constant improvement. So obviously in Ollie's first season, he came third. Second full season, second. So I'm hoping third time lucky that he could obviously do something. But as a fan, I do expect us to challenge to be in the race. But the target more for United, personally, is for us to just get a trophy. This could be FA Cup, this could be League Cup, this could be a good run in the Champions League. Who knows? We don't know what can happen. But I'm not saying we're favourites or nothing. We're dark horses for that. But who knows? But I definitely feel that right now, in terms of what we have, squad depth-wise, from last year, it's a lot stronger than this year. And I feel we can do a better job that we did last year, this year. And it's a game-by-game basis. Obviously, we've got a tough game against Southampton. Got a good record against them, in fact. So I'm hoping, following our 9-0 win over them in Feb this year, of course, that we can obviously follow up and build momentum. Because for me, the Premier League and just seasons in general, momentum is a big thing. So right now, I would say the team that has the most momentum would be the team that we feel is the favourite for the title, which is obviously Chelsea. They've obviously won the Champions League, they've won the Super Cup, they've signed Lukaku, They've won their first game. So at the moment, the momentum for them is really good. So we need to obviously build momentum, win our games, perform well, and hopefully we can be in a position where some of the players that didn't really shine last year can shine obviously this year. So I'm obviously mentioning Paul Pogba, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the performance of Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes was talked about a lot this game. Greenwood as well playing very, very well. I mean, George, what do you think about Greenwood as a young player? Does he remind you of any young players that have maybe played for Liverpool, for United? How do you see him?
I can't say I've actually watched too much of Mason Greenwood. I know that he has a decent goal record at United. He is
30 goals, before he's 19 years old, 30 goals.
Trust me.
Crazy.
Yeah, he is a good player for sure. Whether he can make that step up, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. How much Tuchel leans on him. I still think Cavani will be the number one striker.
Yes.
I think Greenwood, when he first came into the squad, he was shooting a lot just from anywhere. Like he had that like number 9 instinct. He just had an eye for goal. He uses both feet really well.
Yes.
I think he's been found out a little bit the amount he was shooting, taking shots from anywhere and everywhere, and getting them in from weird angles, catching keepers out. I think that's been found out a little bit. He's going to have to be a bit more smart maybe about how he goes about his finishing. Yeah, again, as a Liverpool fan, I don't really. I'm not rooting for him per se, but I also don't want to see these top youngsters fall off a cliff for their own sake more than anything. So it's going to be a very interesting season for him as well.
Yeah, what I like about him is he's always hitting the target. Last season, you're right. A lot of the defenders find out about him, and what he likes to do. He's always going for the goal. He's an instinctive striker. He's a natural goal scorer. But I believe towards the latter, maybe the last 2 months of the season, he found his rhythm. He's found his confidence, and even this game, the way he took that goal, where he goes very far away from the defender and then he comes back inside, and he basically he's running as he's running, he's controlling the ball with his right foot, left foot, and then finish with his left foot. So it's just incredible finish. That goal I must have watched about 100 different times, man.
But you know what's crazy as well? Just to just cut you off.
Yeah.
The pass from Pogba. Oh my gosh. The pass from Pogba from that way out. This is actually one of the reasons why, for me, Pogba needs to just play a bit more deeper. Let Fernandes be obviously a little bit more ahead of him, but then at the same time have some security and have maybe a defender just playing, no, a defensive midfielder just playing just behind him, so he can pick the ball up like he did and find passes, which he does. And 4 assists in one game, come on, man, that's unheard of. Only
That's
6 players in the Prem, other than Pogba, has done that. So it says a lot, man.
That's amazing. Yeah, Paul Pogba, great performance, but obviously you want to see that consistently in every single game, week in, week out. The great players of United have always done it. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes. He just needs that consistency. Hopefully, this is the season for him to do it. Now, guys, before we finish off, though, we need quick predictions. Obviously, we're all saying our predictions is Chelsea to win the Premier League. Everybody else is going to be challenging, but I wouldn't write off City yet, because the way Pep was very calm after the defeat, that tells me obviously he's someone that knows what he's doing. That experience, that know-how of winning titles is crucial. That's why Sir Alex Ferguson was able to maintain titles year after year. But I wouldn't write them off yet. But still, I would have Chelsea as the favourites to win the league. Now, let's talk about your favourites for the Golden Boot. Who can you guys see in winning it? George, is it Mo Salah, obviously?
I think it will be. He's got that habit, doesn't he? He just bangs and goals. He's got 2 already. Yeah, I think Mo Salah's a safe bet.
Yeah, Mo Salah. Okay. Now, Trey, what about you?
Ooh, you know what? It's so difficult. It's so difficult to say this because, um, for example, someone like Kane, he was last year's Golden Boot. But this whole sort of situation with where he's going to go, is he going to be in Spurs, is he going to City? Would that sort of disrupt his rhythm, let's say? But he's a professional. I'm sure he should sort of get stuck in. You know what? I'm going for a random one here. I think Lukaku can come in and be the top goal scorer this season. There's something about how he's obviously come and matured. I think he's obviously done a good job at Syria. Conte's obviously done a good job with him in terms of his diet. He looks more lean. He's more assured as a striker right now compared to when he obviously left Chelsea the first time. There's a complete difference. The contrast is crazy. I think obviously Lukaku has the potential to be the Golden Boot winner, but I just have a feeling that we've got a really good chance to do a job this season in terms of challenging for the league.
I agree with you. I have to agree with you. I mean, obviously, you can't write off Mo Salah, Mohamed Salah. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. He can shoot. He has this awkward way of shooting the ball, but he always ends up in the ball. Yeah, he's a
Spectacular.
terrific player.
He's
He's
a
a
terrific
terrific
player.
player.
I'll never forget. There's one goal that I'll never forget he scored, man. And
Was that the one against Watford?
no, the one against United, man. I think he had that 100-meter sprint with Daniel James.
Yes,
Remember
yes,
that?
yes. The
Crazy
one
goal.
in the last minute, yeah.
And he took off his shirt, man, and
Yeah.
it's just a bit crazy, man. But
Yeah.
Salah's a quality player, and
Yeah.
that's a good
But
choice
I
for
have
Golden
to
Boot.
agree with you because I think there's something different about Lukaku this time around. Yeah. If Cavani stays fit, we might have a chance to win the Golden Boot. But I think the safe option for me would be Lukaku or Salah. But I'm leaning a little bit more towards Lukaku. Yeah, but let's see how that's gonna end. Yeah, guys. Well, let's see. Obviously, the next weekend. The weekend is here now. We've got so many games coming up. United obviously going against Southampton. Liverpool also playing. The biggest game for me is Chelsea and Arsenal, right? Because that's gonna be huge, man. Lukaku debuted again, second debut for Chelsea. Let's see how that's gonna go. But
You know
yeah,
what? Just quick one, just before you go.
yeah,
Obviously, this news just sort of come out a few, let's say half an hour ago.
yeah.
So, did you see the nominees for the UEFA Coach of the Year?
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
So, obviously, we've got the three nominees, which is obviously Guardiola, Mancini, Tuchel. I just wanted to ask you boys on air, who do you think's taken that trophy, and who do you think deserves to win it?
Yeah, George, go for it.
Of those, I think that's an interesting one. I think probably Tuchel. I think the job he did with Chelsea when they weren't doing excellently in the league under Lampard to go and win the league was pretty phenomenal. To be fair, he did. The reason I'd go with him over Guardiola is they've both got really valuable squads. They've got expensive squads, but it's Guardiola's team. Tuchel didn't make those signings. Mancini winning the Euros of Italy, that's great, but to be honest, I just don't. Italy were one of the favourites. You kind of expected it. No one really expected it of Chelsea to win the Champions League when Tuchel took over. So for that reason, I'll go Thomas Tuchel.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, Tuchel. Yeah. The Champions League is obviously a lot harder to win, I believe, because of the quality of the players around. You know, not just European players. You've got players from all over the continents playing in this tournament. So, yeah, I would have to agree with that. Mancini, I thought he done a terrific job, but yeah, I would go with Tuchel definitely. What about you, Trey?
Whew, You both obviously put some good points at the end of the day. I definitely feel that Guardiola's obviously done a great job with his squad. He's built it, and he's had, I would say, the easier job out of the rest of the other nominees, I would say. But Tuchel, I think he's done an exceptional job for Chelsea for what he's done in such a short period of time. Champions League is a trophy that is basically the pinnacle of club football. He's done it. So Tuchel's a good choice for me. And look, we've got a honourable nominee in Ollie. Ollie got a ninth in the top 10. The PE teacher's done it.
Yeah. If he had won the Europa League, he would have been higher in that list.
Yeah, I think Emery was fourth or fifth in that list. I just need to double check. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how it's been.
Yeah.
But yeah, just before we go,
Oli just needs a trophy, man. He just needs a trophy.
He just needs to lift that trophy. Like, it doesn't matter which one. Could be an FA Cup, could be a League Cup. We just need something to sort of symbolize the progress that we've made, because we've been able to see progress through the league positionings and what the squad is now evolved to. But in terms of significance, of course, we need a trophy to sort of confirm that, yes, this is progress and that we're moving in the right direction where we need to move to. So I agree with you completely.
Okay.
But yeah, look, just before you go anyway, obviously we obviously got the news about the United legend, Dennis Law. He's obviously diagnosed with dementia. So I just obviously wanted just to put out there, man, our thoughts are with you and the family. And yeah, man, we hope everything is well.
Yeah, it's very sad news, man. Dennis Law, yeah.
Ballon d'Or winner as well. Let's not forget that. Him and Ronaldo, the only players in Manchester United history to obviously win the Ballon d'Or trophy. So him winning it in 64 says a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great player, absolute legend. You know, part of the team that's won the European Cup for United in 1968. So, yeah, man. I don't know what the football authorities can do about football and heading. Yeah, that is something that we need to talk about in the future episodes. But yeah, George, man, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on the show. I would love to thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And you know, it's good to have someone with a different view. You know, someone who's not a United fan finally on the show. So yeah, thank you so much, man.
Use this opportunity, George, to obviously promote some of your socials as well, so everyone could sort of look at your work. Because look, I'm an incredible fan of what you do, and I'm really proud to obviously have you in the show, man.
Cheers, guys. It's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I can be found on Instagram at George Parr, that's PARR _signature. You can follow all my content about athlete branding, everything athletes can do to create and give fans more value, engage them all with sports, inspire their fans, and how they put together brand deals, and how brands can market their products through sports. And that's what I do. I'm working with MMA fighters, one of them in the UFC. I'll shout him out, Nathaniel Wood, who's put his faith in me as a young entrepreneur. And yeah, hopefully we can go straight to the top. So it's an absolute pleasure coming on and speaking with you guys. Thank you very much for giving me the time of day. So yeah,
it's been great to have you.
Cheers, guys.
It's been great to have you. We just need more young entrepreneurs like you to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. So just keep doing what you're doing, bro, man. You're an inspiration to the younger generation. So well done, man.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot.
Excellent. Thank you again, Trey, for organizing this conversation with George. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you both on the show. So, guys, until the next time, take care. And you know what to do now. Like, subscribe, and make sure that you share the podcast with your friends. Until next time, take care, everyone.
Take care.